Hi, this is Andy Turner, the Educational Technologist at Illinois College. Today I wanted to show you how to use the Connect Cam with Camtasia Studio. Microsoft Connect is a microphone, it is a webcam, and it has features that can sense the 3D positioning of an element or an interface element. That can be driven by software that you can define, and you can control that movement of the motor in the Connect with your software, believe it or not, and there are several demos. The Connect is something that is a physical input device due to the tracking via infrared. On the left hand side I see an infrared beam, and it is projecting a pyramid here that I can traverse on the Z axis, and then you would have X axis and Y axis. So just wanted to see if there would be any possibilities of integrating the new Connect with Windows 10. This is being recorded with Windows 8, and Windows 10 looks very promising. I believe it does pick up audio video fairly well, as does the new Mac OS X. And my favorite operating system, of course, is iOS. The iPhone 6 Plus is a very big screen, and you are able to go to Moodle, of course, on your device. I will show you, if you can see on this iPhone 6, it looks like I may need to get a output device for this screen to mirror the image. But this should be familiar territory. Facebook Messenger, Kik, Dub Smash, and a new app, Azar, which lets you connect with a random person across the internet and have a video chat. So I could launch a video on this device. Let's see. I have created a video for a faux pas clothing company ad that is a template using Imovie on iOS. Now, Imovie on iOS is unbelievably well equipped for video editing, and that's something that on this small of a screen, how could you go wrong? So it comes with I believe with, or maybe it's $20 on the App Store. Some of these apps like GarageBand come with iOS now, and GarageBand has the capability to attach a USB microphone to this device, and then you could also have a physical sensor just like the Connect. One example of a microphone would be this microphone that's attached to my webcam on the PC. So this device is a webcam that usually sits just over here on another monitor, and then I can video conference with the Mac OS X operating system and have multiple screens where perhaps I'm recording this screen and then projecting or recording and projecting or recording, because in essence the iOS is a very capable video recorder as well. It has its own integrated microphone. It does have a camera, and if you think of this device as a recording device, it really makes a lot of sense to create your own user interface elements on iOS to interact with the screen. So there could be parameters that will control the start and stop of this video playback, or it could address lighting issues, home security systems, or more of an urban type of underground water transportation system. Very interesting capabilities with some of these new microcontrollers, such as the Raspberry Pi computer. And a Raspberry Pi can be a self-contained unit, in that it has HDMI ports, align that with the camera correctly. It'll have the composite jack, the 1/8 inch audio input, 2 USB ports, one with a USB Wi-Fi adapter that is working, this copper input, of course, HDMI, which is interesting, and this is the hard drive. It's a 32 gigabyte memory card, and with that you can store an entire operating system. So the operating system and the file system exist on this small chip. Now this small chip also contains a database that I'm able to access. It's called MySQL. That's a database we'll look at this semester. There's also a programming language called PHP, which at least one of my colleagues or two of my colleagues, I know 3 PHP coders, and they say that it's not bad. It's not a bad language. Certainly not. It is a little bit cryptic, but something like JavaScript or the new programming language Swift for iOS, and also OS X on the Mac side of things. But you know, the co-founder of Apple, Steve Wozniak, with Steve Jobs, is now interested in Raspberry Pi. Now there's 2 physical input capabilities, which is very interesting, on the Raspberry Pi 1, which is a output for, or an input for, a touch screen, such as on the iPhone. You could connect the screen here, but on this sensor you have the ability to attach a camera. So you could essentially have, you know, a small autonomous machine on a quadrocopter or a drone that you could control, and since it has networking capability, then you'd simply have to navigate it to an area, a geometric network which covers only the Earth in terms of the line of sight that's possible on a sphere like that, a linear line. But if you have capability to go into a radius of Wi-Fi propagation, then you'll be able to control this drone, and then perhaps a messenger drone could then communicate over wireless with another access point and have continuous connectivity. Well, that's a look at Raspberry Pi. Hopefully soon we'll have a tutorial on the Arduino, which is the complement to the Raspberry Pi. And you can see the logo. It has the screen printing. Perhaps you can see the Raspberry Pi logo. But that's the board. It's about $35, and you can get it at Radio Shack. Quite a nice development board to create your own microcontroller systems, be it robots. You could also interact with, again, home security systems, routers. It does have a customized capability to load your own operating system of choice, as long as it's been developed, of course. So, just to wrap up, on the Raspberry Pi you have GPIO pins, which will communicate with other boards in a serial fashion. So if you get an I/O serial software library here, then over serial cable, which is simply straight through, then you can attach another, what they call a shield, in this case the Arduino, Arduino. It's Italian. It's an Italian board. I think it means community sharing or something to that effect. And you can attach that to this and then begin to stack elements and chips just like you would with Lego blocks. except for you would have such a small system that would be very functional. Now, one gotcha, of course, is the processor is only 266 megahertz, and the RAM is approximately, I believe it's very low. I believe it's 256. But, you know, back in 1997 was when I started in computers, and that was on Windows 95. Of course, I was a late bloomer, but 95 was predating USB, if that gives you any indication of the antiquity there. Then you'll be able to understand that I was running multimedia programs on my computer that cost $3,000. I swiped 2 credit cards and maxed them out to buy this computer. It was a Sony. It was a Pentium 2, and I believe it had the MMX extensions. And it was a good machine developed by Sony. It really was. I like the BIOS on PCs, and I think Sony does a good job. And I like Sony PSN, and Sony PSN, Xbox Live, such as the Kinect, for example, which would be fantastic on Xbox Live, or to run Skype over your Xbox 10. I know that those are always topics of interest at the new student orientations. The gaming systems, understandably, are one of the first things that you want to hook up. So definitely, if there are any gamers out there, then we do have a track in computer science for that, and it's for exploration and study. So I hope that you will contact admissions and also in the registrar's office to inquire about signing up for one of these classes. We do teach Java here at IC, and it is a very functional language. In fact, it's the language that you'll need to understand in order to write programs for the boards that I showed you, such as the Arduino. And there's a lot of Python programming that's made the GPIO possible to interface with Arduino. And there's also, I think on this OS, there's a very interesting Node.js implementation. And one of the things, sorry, I had to check a text message, of course, but speaking of which, you could attach a GPRS shield to the Arduino and enable cellular communications. So to kind of go way back in the video, we're at 13 minutes, so I'll wrap this up. I think that the Node.js runtime engine, and it's a runtime engine for JavaScript, and I do believe that this operating system is Unix based. I know that Node.js is installed on it. This operating system is called Raspbian, I do believe, but it does have an SSH server that you can attach. You can what's called secure shell, SSH. And so an SSH session, a secured, I'll have to rewind that to remember the abbreviation, secure shell. Now, secure shell, when we say shell, we're talking about, think about a sphere that has multiple z-axes. So there's discrete points around the sphere that are kind of like an onion. And so you can access different layers of that sphere with what predominantly is used in 2D communication systems, like, if you're getting old like me, the compact disc, which is really just the presence or absence of a pit burned onto this, I believe it's polystyrene, and these pits represent zeros. No, the pits represent ones, and the absence of a pit represents 0. So it's able to move at a specific speed, and through that input be able to determine the file type. And we say that the type of file is determined by the first series of characters, such as symbols, represented by the binary code, and the binary code is changed to hexadecimal, and you find out more about that in CS280. CS260 has the data structures element, and that's what we really can relate to a two-dimensional grid, if you can imagine that, such as this, a pictures UI interface. The pictures UI interface is really just the geometry of a grid, and then creating images on the screen in such a way that it presents a user interface that's very easy to understand. There's no calls that we have ever received about how to use my iPhone. It is very simple. I mean, sometimes you'll have to have questions about wireless, how to access the network, of course, which is understandable, as well as having to connect to companies' systems such as mail. But outsourcing systems such as Gmail really has helped us to let Google use their resources to process all of the ideas that are going on at universities around the nation and the world in order to embed the knowledge base that we can accumulate as a community. So I look forward to this class. Thank you for watching this video. I hope that you have a great weekend, and classes will start on Wednesday the 9th, I do believe. I will see Wednesday the 8th of August, of October, of September. It has come so fast. I remember just yesterday it seemed like New Year's, and this year has gone by so fast. The spring semester just zipped by. The summer was a great time. There were many projects that we worked on in the IT department. I'm lucky enough to be working at the IT department here at IC as well. The opportunity to teach as well as work is really a dream come true. I am so thankful for all that God has done for me and for through Illinois College for me. And thank you so much for the opportunity to be with you today. Have a pleasant day. Peace be with you. Goodbye.